little. Abigail, Facebook, its cryptocurrency, once again, very much in focus today.
You're absolutely right about that, Caroline. And a bit of a drag on the major averages, the NASDAQ 100 in particular. But you might be surprised to see what the biggest drag on the NASDAQ 100 is. That is CSX, the railroad company, if you can believe it, on pace right now for its worst day since 2008, of course, on their disappointing forecast and wondering whether that signals a recession for trains. The NASDAQ futures, though, you can see barely budged. Investors treading water there. Amazon.com down just a bit after their Prime Day event. Of course, some of their executives on Capitol Hill. And there's Facebook down 0.7% as David Marcus, the head of Libra, their cryptocurrency, once again facing lawmakers on the Hill, really getting grilled what's next for that cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency space itself has been under some pressure based on this Libra hearing. Let's take a look at a chart here that we have in the Bloomberg year to date. In white, we're looking at Facebook, and then blue, we're looking at Bitcoin. A big question here is whether or not this hearing could affect Facebook. The interesting thing is there's nothing baked in the numbers right now for Facebook on Libra. So if anything, it should just represent upside. But we have had the stock up 54% on the year. So maybe some investors will take chips off the table. But where the chips are really falling, take a look at this. Bitcoin at the highs, up 250% on the year, much around anticipation about the Libra announcement back in May or June, excuse me. And then we see lots of congestion. That's a battle between the bulls and the bears. Nobody quite knows what's next for that cryptocurrency, but you see the big breakdown. Technically, you could make the case that it's confirmed for much lower levels, but to talk more about where we could actually see Bitcoin go, I'd like to bring in John Kolovos of Macro Risk Advisors. And before we take a look at your two charts in Bitcoins, because it's kind of interesting, because you think that we could see some downside first and then some big upside. Yep. What do you think about Facebook in this crypto space and Libra and that comparison between Facebook and Bitcoin?
Yeah, I've been quite impressed by the way Facebook has been behaving. I think the chart has been resilient.
Holding in
very well.
Especially when you compare it to that chart of Bitcoin with that parabolic uptrend.
Yep.
So let's take a closer look at Bitcoin. These are the Bitcoin futures, something that not everybody knows, but there are futures traded on the CME, and you've got the regulation and the regularity, the trading. So a very nice vehicle to trade a crypto through.
Exactly right. So what I think is going on here with Bitcoin is that it's correcting right now. It's going through a corrective process. Notice how I didn't say it's going through a trend reversal, right? What do I mean by correction? You have a very classic ABC sort of correction going on here right now, coming into support implied by that correction around 9,000. There's also the 50-day moving average, which is here in yellow, also finding support there right now. So my sense is that we should be on the lookout for Bitcoin to start to stabilize around here, but I think that there could be a little bit more downside before it pushes up. And why is that? Well, first is the presence of a double top formation, which may bring in sellers, push down prices a little bit more. But also notice on the bottom here, we have the RSI. This is the 14-day RSI. When we look at Bitcoin going back from the last bull market before it peaked in 2018, the 14-day RSI down around 40 was a good buying opportunity. We're almost there. So my sense is, start looking for stabilization for Bitcoin between 9,000 and 8,500, closer to probably 8,500. For a resumption uptrend, probably back to the old highs. I would stop myself out at around 8,000.
Very quickly, before taking a look at your long-term chart, why do you think that the double top is likely to only fulfill somewhere between 8,000 and 8,500? Because I think if you do the full target on it, or a pattern that we were looking at recently here suggested it could go below 7,000. Is there something else that you're seeing that you like? Is it that support?
Well, exactly right. So these two levels right here, this horizontal lines, there's a lot of price congestion here. I'm going to give the prevailing trend the benefit of the data. It was a very impulsive move higher. So my sense is that there will be buyers here at these lower levels to support.
Well, speaking of the prevailing trend, here's the long-term chart of Bitcoin, and you can see that the bull's very much in charge. Talk to us quickly about why you think we
absolutely. First thing to do when you look at a long-term chart is to try to determine what the trend is, right? It's above its 50-week moving average. It's actually hugged it quite nicely over time. It's currently above it, right? Number two, you can see that it broke out of a wedge formation back in April. That signaled the resumption of this long-term uptrend. Classic technical analysis tells you that this pattern, implication of which gets you back to the old highs, which would be around 20,000. So long-term trend tells me to want to be buying pullbacks. So that's a reason why I think we should be buying around 8,500.